welcome to my very first episode of the Angel Mystic Podcast. Today's episode, we are starting at the very beginning. Thought it seemed the right place to be, telling you about how I found my angels. So a big welcome and thank you for being here. This is something I have been 3 years in the making. Talk about procrastination. I have been so wanting to do this, and every year I've thought, this year I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it for the last 3 years. But I'll be totally honest, technology has always fazed me. So I've always just kept putting it to the back of the list and it's never got done. But this year, there's something really pushing me forward to make this happen. So here we are, and I am so delighted that I am doing this, because my intention is that this will fall in the right ears that need to hear whatever I'm going to share in these weekly episodes. And as you get to know me better, you will start to understand that I often don't know what I'm going to share. Now, I do want to tell you about finding my angel today, but I can already feel spirit is coming through as well. They change my voice. They make me go croaky. As soon as I started putting this together, I could feel the presence. So who knows what's going to come tumbling out of my mouth today. But I really thought that talking about how I found my angels seemed to be the right place to start all of this podcast journey on, as I love sharing all my stories. And before we even start with all of that, I want to remind you of something that's really important, that we are all the same. And it's easy to think that we're not. It's easy to think that, I am the one that can channel angels. I am the one that can connect with spirit, or other people can do that, but not you. I'm here to tell you, you can do this too. We are all spiritual beings. We are all having a human reality. If you imagined for a moment, when you came into this world, do you think that some people will be given more spiritual connections than others when we're already a spiritual being? No. The fact is, we get humanized. We all come in the same, all little babies, all so open to spirit, remembering where we've come from, knowing where we're going, but we get humanized and we forget our spiritual connections. And that makes life so much harder than it needs to. So whilst when I was younger, I saw spirit as clearly as I could see people normally. Sometimes I saw them with my third eye, within my head. Sometimes I saw them like a real person. But I spent most of my spiritual life, or should I say most of my life, in my spiritual closet. And I know a lot of other people do that, because it's easy to stay in your spiritual closet when you've got fear of judgment going on. What are other people going to say when people are rolling their eyes at you? I've had that more times than I care to think, oh, she's off again. When you're being told as a child, don't be silly, there's nothing there, and you've got your little invisible friend, or you're seeing spirit, or you're seeing a relative that you've been told has passed, it becomes really confusing. It can be really scary when you're going to bed at night and you're seeing faces literally coming towards you. It can be really difficult when you don't have enough understanding about your spiritual connections and enough confidence with your spiritual beliefs to voice that. So naturally we stay hidden in our spiritual closet. Yet here I am, 14 years into being a full-time spiritual teacher, and flipping loving it. So let's look back at what changed for me, because I know it can change for you too. And there may be more periods in your life where you do feel like you want to keep your spirituality to yourself, and that's okay. And there may be other times when you think, oh no, I want to talk about this. But the one thing I found whenever you do start talking about it with other people is that you realize you're not the only one experiencing that. Other people go, oh yes, I get that. Oh, me too. And that's what I love about my communities. My free group, Abundance Manifesting, I'll put it in the show notes for you. come and join us in there. There's everyone on their spiritual journey. But the thing is, we're all experiencing it differently. Spirituality for me is like a big elephant. And if we're all blindfolded and we're touching the elephant, some of us would feel the ears, some of us would feel the tail, the tusk, the trunk, the tummy, the foot. We would all feel the elephant, but we'd all experience it differently. And that's what it's like with spirituality. So it's really easy to think, oh, I'm not as good as them, but you're all the same. You're all spiritually connected, but you've just forgotten about it. So going back to when I sort of fast forward, if you like, my spiritual connections, it was when I was going through a very difficult period in my life, dark night of the soul, you might call it, in year 2000. So whilst I'd always been spiritual, in fact, I met an old friend for lunch who I went to school with last year, and she reminded me of how in the maths class, I used to get her to put her hand behind so that I could read her palm, because I was used to sit behind her in maths. I used to fund many a night out reading people's palms in exchange for drinks. So I've always dabbled, if you like, with spirituality. But it really, like I say, kicked off in 2000 when life was really difficult for me, when the only thing I ever wanted to be when I was growing up was a mum, and my marriage had come to an end. So I can remember this afternoon, it was a Tuesday. It was a drizzly day outside. I'd been and signed my divorce papers and been almost hysterical in the solicitor's office. I came home. I was home alone. Kids were out. And I was sat on the living room floor crying my eyes out. And I was asking for someone or something to help me. I've always known there was something bigger and greater than us, but I didn't really know who and what that was. So I was asking for something to give me the strength to get through this divorce, to be strong enough for my children, who were 1 and 4 at the time. And I was waiting for something, some sort of big apparition to happen, maybe a wonderful angel to appear in the middle of my living room. Nothing like that happened. But what did happen is that I felt like I had this inner strength. And angels really do give you an inner strength. They are amazing at giving you an ability to cope with emotional stuff. They're wonderful at manifesting. They've transformed my life, and that's a story for another episode. But they are so good at the actual inner strength that we need. So I was asking for this help. And I would remember saying, angels, spirit, God, whoever you are, whatever you are, please help me. I was brought up in a family that's very religious. Church of England school, Church of England church that I went to with my family, Sunday school I even attended. But the fact was, I never felt comfortable in a church. It always made me feel on edge. It was just a funny feeling. But I used to love going with my nana, because my nana, I've come to realize, was a natural born healer. And I just loved being in her energy and sitting next to her. So as a little girl, I used to ask to go to church. But I honestly believe that was because I wanted to be in the company of my nana. So when I'm asking on this drizzly Tuesday for inner strength and help, I'm open to God. But I'm not sure back then I really, really believed that there was a God. But I did know there was something bigger and greater. And I felt this wave of like strength come over me. My tears dried up. And little by little, I started to move forward with my life. But I was really still confused whether it was my angels, because no apparition had happened, what was giving me this strength to hold it together in front of my family? What was giving me that strength to find a job, to make it work? I was riddled with fear back then. I was scared of being in the house on my own. I was scared of how I was going to financially get through life. I was scared of the future. But I found that these fears just sort of drifted away. So I started asking my angels, because I really felt that it was my angels. I really felt this pull to my angels more than spirit, more than God. It was my angels that were pulling me forward. And I started asking them to give me signs. And I'd say, angels, if it's you that's giving me this strength, give me a sign. And I would find little random feathers, which are known as angel calling signs, the little calling cards that they turn up in the most random of places. I have done readings and feathers have literally dropped down between me and whoever I was reading for. They're incredible. And we will talk about angel signs because that's a massive subject on its own in another episode. But I was getting these signs and I was starting to join the dots. I was asking for signs and they were starting to come. And I started to build a relationship with my angels. Back then, I didn't know really what my angels were. I didn't know their name, how many I had. I just felt this body of strength that was getting me through each day. And they became like this first point of call. The first thing I would ever do is I would start asking my angels for everything that I needed. It was like having a conversation in my head. Angels, please, can you help me with? And as we'll talk about, I'm sure that is probably not the best way to ask. They started to answer. They started to show me the way forward. Synchronicities started to occur. I would think of something, it would turn up. Songs on the radio would come on. The words would mean something to me. I'd be deliberating over something and I'd see very clearly the answer yes or no. Rainbows would appear. I used to turn my head and sparkly lights would flash in the corners of my eyes. I started to get the tittles all over my face. All these were angel signs for me, and they could be for you too. But the angels showed me the way forward out of that really dark period. And that is not the only time the angels have guided me forward. They've done it countless times. But I honestly think that you only get out of your relationship what you put in. It is like meeting a new best friend. You've got to have time to get to know them. And that isn't all about meditation, or it certainly all isn't for meditation for me. I love meditation. I am a well-seasoned meditator. I've been doing it for, I don't know, about 30 years. And I do meditate every day. But for me, some of the best connections I get from my angels are when I'm in water, when I'm swimming, when I'm sat in my hot tub, or maybe when I'm driving my car and I'm preoccupied driving and I can channel in other information from my angels, other little bits of guidance. And you'll know when it's your angels because you will feel that deep sense of knowingness. It's like a big light bulb going off. You know it's the right thing to do. So the angels showed up for me, and I know the angels can show up for you. They proved themselves to me time and time again until I had no doubt that it was the angels. But it was a little private thing. It was something that was just me and the angels. I didn't dare tell anyone about them, even though I was communicating with them every day and our relationship was getting stronger. I still wasn't confident enough to tell anyone else about them. And I'd started to rebuild my life. I got a job. I worked at social services. and I was training as a counselor as well. And it was in one of those counseling sessions when we have to practice on someone else on the course. And I was working with this lady and she offloaded all her stuff to me. And I thought, oh my goodness, I have no idea what to say to her. All I did say to her was, you need to ask your angels to help you, but don't tell anyone I told you that, because there was still a lot of shame about it. It's like I was sick of people rolling their eyes at me. Yet there was something in my life that I knew was really helping me, but I couldn't feel confident enough to tell other people about it or how to do it. But anyway, she did. She must have asked her angels to help her, because a few years later, when eventually I started this business in, 14 years ago, and she came into my shop, because that's how this business started. It was a shop. It is now all online, but it was a shop in Windermere. And she went, well, look at you now. I always remember you saying to me about the angels, but don't tell anyone that you'd said that. And here you are now with a spiritual shop, talking about angels, doing readings and running workshops. And it is incredible where my angels have taken me. So many wonderful opportunities have come my way. Appearing on Channel 4, on ITV, writing for Fate and Fortune magazine, all the amazing people that have come into my life because of it. The angels showed up for me, but I also showed up for the angels. I allowed them into my life. I started to trust them. Because fact is, we all have angels. We have an angel that is assigned to us for all of our lifetimes. There's no one knows you better than your angels. Yet so often we do not ask for their help. I think asking your angels to help you is the hardest bit of your connection, because we get sucked into a problem or drama and we lose sight of what we can really do. We forget to ask. So having little angels around your house helps you ask. I have a little angel hanging in my car. I have angels in every room of my house. Some of my favorite things to do, and it's a non-negotiable thing that I do, is chat to my angels at least twice a day. You can do it when you're in the shower. You can do it when you're tucked up in bed at night, nodding off. You can do it when you're walking the dog. You just start communicating. And because your guardian angel is personal to you, this is the best bit. They will communicate with you how you need it. So if you need feathers, they'll give you feathers. If you need messages in music, they'll give it you that way. They'll give you those signs that you need so you can join the dots up just like I did. Because honestly, life does not need to be that hard. Life does not need to be as difficult as we make it. And it is so much easier with your angels by your side. So if you've not started this journey already, start it right now by asking your angels to come into your life. They're already there. They will be skipping with joy if you ask them. Because I often think that angels must be sat upstairs, twiddling their thumbs, looking down on you and going, could help you with that, but you'd never asked. If you don't ask, you don't get the help. The only time the angels will intervene is when it's like a near-death experience and it's not your time to pass. So show up for your angels today. Start talking to them. Start asking for the help that you need. But be open to how that will come to you. Because I think this is why so many people feel that angels have deserted and abandoned them. Because they are so busy thinking how the angels are going to answer and being really prescriptive in how they want that to happen, and they miss what's really happening for them. Angel energy is subtle. So if you're living life at 100 miles an hour, it's unlikely you're going to see signs, notice your signs, feel their energy. but your angels are absolutely there, waiting to help you. So I think I will finish it here for today, for the first episode. I hope that's inspired you to take your life forward with your angels' help, because everything's going to get so much easier. I always feel like they are rolling out the red carpet for you to glide down. And I will see you back again next time. If you have a question that you want me to answer in these episodes, please email me, amanda@theangelmystic.co.uk. You can find me on social media platforms, The Angel Mystic, on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And please subscribe, and I'll see you back next week. Bye for now.